Algebra 1, Concept 40a, Methods to Multiply Binomials and Trinomials. So the first example, we have a monomial, 5x squared, times a binomial, 7x cubed minus 4x. In that case, when you have one term multiplying by an expression, you can do what you're probably thinking of doing, which is distribute. So that means we take the first term times the first term in the expression. 5 times 7 is 35. X squared times x cubed is x to the fifth. And then multiply that term by the second one in the expression. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And then x squared times x to the first power is x cubed. That's all we're asked to do. We're not solving. There's no equal sign, so we won't find a one-number answer. We'll simply multiply and then just end up with an expression. Now let's look at example 2. Example 2, we're finding the product of two binomials. X plus 1 and x plus 3 both have two terms. So here's one method that you might end up liking. This is the box method. It's similar to a Punnett square. So you draw a 2 by 2 box, and then you're going to place your first expression just in the columns, above the columns of the box. So your first term goes above the first column, and then the second term with the sign goes above the second one. And then I bet you can imagine where x plus 3 will go. It'll go along the left side, so x plus 3. Now what we'll do is we're multiplying. So in this first box, we're going to take the term that is in our first column times the term in our first row. So I'll highlight those now. X times x. So that will give us x squared. Put this back. Now our term here will be the product of our second column, 1, and then times x. So that will simply give us 1x. We'll move down and to the left. So x times 3 is 3x. And then over to the right, 1 times 3 is 3. So now go back up to the upper left, and you're going to read it like a book. So x squared, and then we'll put in plus or minus signs, so plus 1x plus 3x plus 3. And then we can combine those middle terms, so x squared plus 4x plus 3. So that's the product of the binomial using the box method. Now let's do method 2. This is called the FOIL method, and this is where you leave the terms in their parentheses. We have an acronym, FOIL, and it helps you remember what order to multiply the terms in so that you don't forget anything. Because this problem is telling you to take everything in this first expression times everything in that second expression. So FOIL means that we're going to multiply first terms together. So that is x times x, which will give you x squared. I stands for inner. I'm sorry, O is next. That's how you spell FOIL. So O stands for outer. Let me just change that. So we've got first. Alright, O stands for outer. So I'm going to draw that line underneath. The outer terms are the ones on the outer edges. So x times 3. I stands for the inner terms. So that's here, 1 times x is 1x. And then finally, last stands for the last terms in each expression. So 1 times 3, which will be positive 3. Then we can combine those two middle terms, because those are like terms. 3x and 1x is 4x plus 3. So you can see we got the same results as using the box method, but that is called the FOIL method. Now our next example, we have a trinomial times a binomial. You can use the box method. Notice our box is now a 3 by 2. And so we just need to make whatever the first expression is, that's how many columns you have. And then the second expression, those are your rows. So you're going to write those terms above in a similar way to the 2 by 2 box. So we'll have 3x squared plus 5x minus 1. And then along the side, we'll have 2x plus 4. Now we're going to multiply 3 times 2, which is 6, and then x times x, which is x cubed. I'm going to keep moving left to right, so 2x times 5x is 10x squared. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. I'm going to drop down and to the left. 3x squared times 4 is 12x squared. 5x times 4 is 20x. And then 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Now we're going to read it like we did in the 2 by 2. So we'll start in the upper left and we'll move left to right and then combine like terms. So we have 6x cubed plus 10x squared minus 2x plus 12x squared plus 20x minus 4. Now you may be thinking, well, I can just go ahead and combine those without writing them out, and that's fine. But it's always good if you see it right away to write it out. Now work left to right. So 6x cubes, we scan and there's no other x cubes, so that term will remain. 10x squareds plus 12x squareds will give you 22x squareds. Negative 2x's plus 20 will give you positive 18x's minus 4. That's all you can do, because notice it is in standard form, and we have combined all of the terms that we need to. Now the last thing that I would like to show you, I would just like you to add this down at the space in the bottom of your notes. So here's another way that you can work a problem like this rather than the box method. You can leave them in the parentheses and just distribute. Now with this method, if I do it, I usually like to put the smaller expression first. Now I'm going to color code a little bit. So what you do is you take your first term in the first expression, the 2x, and you're going to multiply it by each term in that second expression. So we will get 6x cubed. 5x times 2x is 10x squared, and then minus 2x. Now move to your second term and multiply it by everything in that whole second expression. I'm going to use blue. So plus 12x squared plus 20x minus 4. Now we can combine, and we should get what we got using the box method. So I'll end up with 6x cubes, 22x squared, 18x minus 4. So in this method, all you do is you just start with one term and you multiply that term by everything that's in that second expression. Then move to your second term and do the same. Then combine all of your like terms and you're finished.